Free Steaks, a magazine that's been out of print for some time, a vodka that no longer exists, and a university that failed and is under state criminal investigation. Hey, not important. Donald Trump is rolling, he and his followers daring anybody to try and stop them with such trivialities. Now, speaking of people who choose to not look at what's right in front of their face, we are still trying to confirm rumors that when told the results in the primary in Michigan last night, Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton looked at her staff and went, la, 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 I can't hear you. So amidst all the din of home politics, far too many people are choosing to ignore the latest from overseas. An ISIS leader possibly dead, and the despicable words mustard gas being tossed about with casual ease. Let's get to work. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hardline for Wednesday, March 9th, 2016.
I think it's time to unify. We have something special going in the Republican Party, and unfortunately, the people in the party don't respect it.
A real conservative who will provide real conservative solutions in people's lives. That is the only way we beat Donald Trump, and that is the only way we are going to beat Hillary Clinton.
There's only one person did well tonight, Donald Trump, I will tell you.
Don't be thinking it's over yet.
We should unify the party, and nobody's going to beat us, okay?
It's beginning to look a lot like the word poll may soon take on the same meaning as the word assume, because certainly Tuesday night proved how unpredictable a POTUS season we are actually in, and how the changing fortunes of the American voter are turning everything we knew about elections inside out. You want proof? Donald Trump is taking on the persona of a unifier. Carly Fiorina is learning the political game as she supports somebody she was recently trashing. Republicans are openly defying their party and threatening to feel the burn if the Donald is their preferred choice. And just when you thought Jeb Bush was on a seriously long vacation, he's back. We dive into the deep end of the political pool. Welcome back the former spokesman for George W. Bush, senior project manager at Hathaway Strategies, and author of The War on Millennials, Pete Seat, joined by veteran Republican strategist and Buckley Fellow at the National Review Institute, Ian Tuttle. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Ian, let's go ahead and get to work. Donald Trump, big wins last night. Everybody's happy. Trump's going out there saying, this is it. I'm now going to unify the party. Wait a minute now. There have been 8 primaries and caucuses closed only to Republican voters. Trump has won just 2 of them. He lost last night in Idaho by a lot. He's winning when the primaries are open to Democrats and independents. Are we missing something here, Ian?
Well, yeah, I mean, it helps the Democrat when Democrats are able to vote in the Republican primary. But look, yes and no. The counter evidence for that claim is that even in open primaries, Trump is generally winning among Republicans. So, you know, yes and no to that. But certainly there are a whole lot of Republicans, you know, who've been traditional voters within the party, who've, you know, voted along the line for, you know, a number of years, who are going for this guy who by any reasonable accounting falls much more on the left side of the spectrum than the right. No question about that.
All right. Let's talk about the left just a minute here. Pete, let me bring you in on this, because I've had conversations with friends. I'm watching a lot of the news reports, listening to a lot of the stories and such, and there seems to be this little rumble that's growing here that some people are so anti-Donald Trump that they would actually consider voting for the other side if Bernie Sanders was the guy. They don't want to do it for Hillary Clinton, but if Sanders is sitting there, they think about it. What are we to take from that?
That the entire world is topsy-turvy. That's what we take from that. I've heard the same thing from folks I talk to. There are even some who are willing to vote for Hillary. That's how frightened they are of the prospect of a Donald Trump presidency. But there are a lot who can't stomach the idea of supporting a Clinton and helping a Clinton get to the White House. They would rather not vote at all. But the reality is Bernie Sanders won't be the nominee of the Democratic Party. It will be Hillary Clinton.
Ho, ho, ho. Wait just a minute there, Tex. 1 minute. You're telling me that Bernie Sanders, wait a minute, he won big in Michigan last night. We weren't going to talk a lot of left here, Pete, but what do you base that on?
Well, the reality is superdelegates. And Hillary Clinton right now, 40% of her delegate total is super delegates, whereas 4% of Bernie Sanders are super delegates.
But they can change their mind, Pete. I mean, they're super delegates, but they basically go where they want to go.
Sure, they could change their mind, but I don't see that happening. I don't see the party elite of the Democratic Party saying, you know what, this is what the voters want. Yeah, he won Michigan. His campaign manager said just last week, is very wise in saying this, that Hillary is struggling to win outside of the South. That proved to be true yesterday. That could change in Ohio and Illinois and other states next week. But at the end of the day, it will be superdelegates that win this for Hillary Clinton and put her over the top at their convention.
Oh, what the voters want. What a radical that you are, my friend. We're going to go ahead and come back to that. Hey, let's talk about this. Jeb Bush, everybody thought that Jeb Bush was gone. Wait a minute. Turns out he is going to meet with 3 of the candidates, John Kasich, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. He's going to talk to all of them here before the debate comes up tomorrow night. All right, Ian. Everybody said that Jeb was gone. He was done. He couldn't really be a factor here. What do you think he actually is going to talk to them about? And like anything else, is it going to make any difference whatsoever?
Well, he's still got a lot of money, remember. There was a whole lot of money and a large network. The Bush, the Bush family, the Bush, structure has just enormous, enormous influence in certain circles where it counts.
Where are those counts? Hang on one second. Let me stop you there. Those circles that it counts, are we talking money, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's the prospect that whoever could get hold of that money or whoever could benefit from it in the form of super PACs, that sort of thing, would stand to gain, especially if after March 15th you're looking, if Rubio and Kasich were to drop out after the 15th, then you had a one-on-one. Jeb throwing that money behind Cruz would potentially make a difference going into the final stretch of primaries. So I'm imagining that those are the calculations that he's making to work behind the scenes and still influence this race. There's no question, if you go back and watch those debates, that Jeb Bush was not a Donald Trump fan.
Okay, well, let me just ask you this then, because I got to move on, but I want to get this in here. The 3s that he's going to talk to here, in your opinion, real quick, Pete, who do you think he would throw his money behind?
I think the smart money right now would be Ted Cruz. He's only 99 delegates behind Donald Trump, and that's one state. That's the state of Florida. The winner-take-all state of Florida has 99 delegates on the table, and that could close the gap in a heartbeat.
All right, now we're talking about establishment candidates here. Ted Cruz establishment, Jeb Bush establishment, at least what they call establishment, because quite frankly, everybody throws that word around and very few people know exactly what it means. All right, let's leave that there. Rush Limbaugh speaks to the Republican voter, has for many years. He speaks to the conservative. And now he is talking about how he feels the establishment's best way of denying Donald Trump the nomination could be. And here's what he said.
So really a week from yesterday will tell the tale. But it does begin to look like the establishment has no choice. That if they do want to deny Trump, they're going to have to coalesce behind Cruz. And I cannot tell you how much they hate having to do that. I cannot tell you that in the bowels of the establishment citadels, wherever it is they hang out and have their club dinners and so forth, they hate Cruz more than they do Trump. Hate's too strong a word. They don't like Cruz more than they don't like Trump.
Now, Rush added, quote, he's so much of what they don't want. They don't want conservatism in the party. They don't want evangelicals prominent in the party. They don't want anybody talking about Judeo-Christian ethics and morality and conservatism. They're trying to sweep that out of the party ever since Goldwater. All right, Pete, you've heard it. You've listened to it. What do you think?
Rush has been all over the map during this election cycle. What I would say, my definition of establishment has always been organized winners. Up until this election cycle, of course, but the establishment has been people who win. Those who are not in the establishment, the so-called outsiders, are such because they can't win elections. And what you're seeing now with some so-called establishment types trying to coalesce around Ted Cruz is they see him as that most viable alternative to Donald Trump, the only chance to beat Trump before the convention or to stop him from getting the majority of delegates and having this floor fight take place in Cleveland, which is probably the most likely alternative if Trump doesn't win this outright.
All right, now one of the best times that you get into when people start to drop out is when the basically you get people coming up and say, sure, I'll go ahead and support you, even though I hated you just not too long ago whatsoever. Carly Fiorina now says that she supports Ted Cruz. Ian, excuse me, but okay, we get it. She wants to play the political game here, but is it really going to get Ted Cruz anything at all to have Carly Fiorina behind him?
Probably not a whole lot in voters, but it does help with intensity. It helps to have a former candidate, as opposed to Christie and Huck, come out and work the line for you. And it suggests that sort, Carly was certainly one of these outside candidates, one of the three and probably the only one who has any business being in politics. And for her to come out and help Cruz probably burnishes the type of image that he's sought to project over the course of really his whole electoral career.
All right, only got 30 seconds left. Now, before all the results have been tallied last night, Marco Rubio already looking past the primaries. He was looking forward to his own state. Here's what he said.
So here we are. It always comes down to Florida, doesn't it? And it will again this year, not once but twice. Not once but twice we'll have to decide the presidency here, but it starts a week from tonight.
10 seconds to you first, Ian. Look, I respect Marco Rubio, but is the man delusional?
This is a very long shot at this point.
Pete, should he get out in order to protect his legacy and his possibilities for the future?
Well, campaigns on the other side are stirring that up, but I think he stays in. I think he sticks it out. And if he falls short, he gets out the next day.
Hey, look, think of all these voters that voted for him in the pre-elections already, and to leave before their votes are counted, what that would say to those voters? Yeah, I think he's still got to make nice in the state of Florida one way or another. Ian, Tuttle Pete Seat, gentlemen, thanks so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Now, for those seeking an alternative to Donald Trump, I know Trumpsters, you don't want to hear that, but it's happening. You will not believe the individual, the man, one group has in mind. We'll reveal that next, and we continue right here on The Hardline.